So if you started the bonsai exercise, that means that you have completed your Charlie Harper project. Remember that I expect you to spend a lot of time on that. So your rough draft should have taken you a period, generally, and then your Charlie Harper final draft, that's the thing that you take your time on. I want you to turn those into Schoology, and I want to see how they are. And I will give you some replies since I am on the process of giving you access or getting access to Schoology. So I would like to see how those are, and I will give you some feedback on each of your projects. And if they need a little bit of work, I will let you know. All right, so with this exercise, if you are on the Bonsai Tree example 1 slide, we are going to go over line of action, and we're going to be showing how I use the line of action to create bonsai trees. So with the first tree, I want you to notice that the root is probably the thickest part of that tree. So that's where we're going to draw the head of the shape. So we're going to start with a circle, and then notice with that tree, it's very curved and exaggerated. So the important thing about line of action art, there are no S-curves. So I don't want to see things like that. I don't want anything like that. What I want is the general shape. So for us, we're going to exaggerate it like that. There we go. Don't be afraid of pushing it. We're not trying to recreate real life. We're just trying to create exaggerated movement, since the line of action is supposed to add emotion. So now, starting from the circle, or no, we're going to start laying out the branches. So when it comes to branches, we need to count the sections. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. For me, I found 6. If you find more of them, don't be afraid. So I'm going to start with that bottom branch all on its own, on its little lonesome. So that would be there. And then you have the second section, third, and then the fourth, and then you have the fifth. So I'm going to start at the root, and then I'm going to curve up, and then we're going to curve back down. And if you go a little bit outside, because notice with the root, that it goes a little bit further out from where I see that wide section is. So I start here and I move up. We're starting in the dirt. So now we're going to do the same thing with the branches. We're going to glance out our reference, and we're going to go out and then in. We're keeping in mind about the thickness. So this one's pretty thick. The second one is not really very thick. So we're just going to keep that line thin and branch out. Then we're just going to rinse, wash, and repeat. So I'm going to exaggerate the curve of that branch right there. And then for the top portion, I'm just going to make that a shape. Since to me that looks like an oval, I'm just going to draw a little circle and then do the same thing for that little section in between at the peak. So notice how you have the general shape, how it looks a lot more motive if you just kind of tried to follow that shape in a really stiff manner. So to me, this adds a lot more motion to it. So we're going to go over it with our shapes. So down here, you see more lines, so I'm going to probably just add another one and contradict everything I just said. So there's a section right here, and then notice in that little branch, it looks like there are 2 sections to that branch. So I'm just going to add another little extension, exaggerate it a little and curve it inward because I like the way that one looks. And we're going to add the shapes for all of the leaves. We have those, and then a tiny section that we're going to connect. And we're just going to keep on going. And I'm pausing every now and then to look at my reference. I'm not trying to do this out of my memory because there's really no point to it, especially since we have one. Use what you have available. So, that is our first tree. Sort of. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the box that it is in, since bonsai means to be planted in. I just realized that, and honestly, it's surprisingly simple. I like the title. So if you want to tell your friends what a bonsai tree is, it just means to be potted in. It has Japanese or Chinese origin. And there we are. Y'all know how to draw a box. We've done it enough. You may be sick of it by now, but it's a very nice basic shape that you can take advantage of. And now you have a little bonsai tree. It's not 100% accurate, and that's okay. That's not the point of the project. What I want you to do is get that line of action figured out. Because if we get that line of action in trees, we can for sure get them in other animals. So we can get them in fish. I tend to really like drawing fish. That's my favorite little go-to when it comes to showing line of action. So you can just get a quick little fish in. You can draw a human pretty easily. You just have to be able to follow that line. See whether that person is angry or happy or running or stiff. You can just do a little brief line of action. This is why I'm showing you this. This is why I'm having you do trees rather than humans. I feel like trees are a lot more approachable and honestly in a little bit ways a little bit more complicated. So usually you want to start with something that's a little bit harder for you and then you can go back to something simpler. But we're just going to keep on adding to that tree. Alright, goodbye.